Hello and welcome to another episode of Our Own Devices. This time we are going to talk about EdTech, which is not a topic we have touched for some time, but we are going to talk about maybe the new areas that EdTech is finding an opportunity in. And to talk about it, we have Mr. Akshay Munjal, who is the founder and CEO of Hero Wired. Mr. Munjal, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
So, Mr. Munjal, if you can just start by sort of talking about what does Hero Wired do? How does it fit into the entire EdTech space, which we all know has got a lot of action in the past, few years.
True, like you rightly said, EdTech is a very crowded space. But where Hero Wired fits in is Wired focuses on superior outcomes. For example, all our teaching is live. So we have industry practitioners teach you in cutting edge areas, and we've tied up with with world's best universities such as MIT, INSEAD, University of Chicago, and we offer programs with them. So you have the benefit of learning from the best globally as well as leading industry practitioners, which are focused on getting you a job or a better job.
So EdTech per se has even though initially it was a little bit more traditional, but we are seeing that EdTech is also now branching into areas which are relatively new, right? Where you would not have a lot of courses available, let's say, in the traditional space. So are you seeing that kind of a shift now happening? Like, for instance, you go to LinkedIn, there are so many people posting their certificates on like 10-day courses, 2-week courses that they've done. But that's also, signifying a trend, right?
I think given the way how technology is changing, people need short certification. If you look at before EdTech, people had degrees. You had an MBA, BTech, BBA, LLB. But now a lot of companies are saying, while degrees are good, I need specialized skills. And those skills really is where EdTech comes in and where those short certifications come in.
So this also means that you have, very specialized skills, right? Very specialized skills, which maybe doesn't need somebody to, study for a year or so. But how do you then end up deciding that, okay, there is enough demand for us to maybe curate a course on something like that?
Great question. The way I look at, I think the role of formal education is to give you broad skills
Yeah.
to make you a productive, good human being for society. End of the day, when you do your BTech, BBA, MBA, nobody can predict what you'll be doing 10 years, 20 years, 30 years down the line. So their role comes in of teaching you how to learn, how to be a good, productive citizen of society. Now, while EdTech comes in, EdTech looks at what are the skills in demand. So, for example, at Wired, we really look at which are the skills in demand today and expected to be demand in next 5 years. So we use that broad filter, which are the growing area of skills, and those which can be taught virtually. For example, EVs are of great demand.
Yeah.
But can you teach people EVs virtually? Some bit you can, but you still need a real, need to get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
We apply that filter. Where are the jobs sitting and where are the jobs expected to be over the next 5, 10 years, and how can we effectively deliver them online?
This is also driven a little bit by an industry demand or interaction with the industry. Like we know, for instance, IITs would work with certain industries to add maybe components into an existing course and things like that. So would you also get demand from an industry to say that, hey, can you do this for us? We are not finding enough skills in, maybe within our employees or the prospective employees for this thing.
Exactly. We've tied up with Nodwin. Now, very few people, or actually not more than 5 people, offer full programs on gaming.
Yeah.
So Nodwin, as an industry leader, was finding it challenging to find trained people. So we tied up with Nodwin and we offer a program in gaming. Similarly, we tied up with Snapchat to offer a program on AR VR. Now, these are specialized programs, specialized courses, which are taught really at the cutting edge of what does Snapchat require in AR VR, or what does Nodwin require for people in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
And in Nodwin's case, they also take a lot of master classes. They are very involved. So as a learner, you get the best of both.
And often with some of these technologies, maybe there are not enough industry players also, right? You would need the experts to come from within that company to tell people how to do something, right?
Absolutely. So you want to say, if you look at other life cycle, you look at data science. Data science is a very crowded space, but still huge requirement, and you'll find people. While if you look at gaming or AR, VR, we still find that at a still yet to pick up critical mass. But do we doubt that jobs will not be there in 5, 10 years? No. We all know that AR, VR, gaming, they are here to stay, and they'll become only bigger over the next 5, 10 years.
So, are you seeing a similar opportunity with AI? Because again, we all talk about AI as one thing, but it's not one thing, right? It has so many branches. The way it interacts with a certain segment or industry creates new opportunities, new problems. So, how do you work on AI as a whole?
So I think, like you rightly put, AI is a very generic term. AI could be used for very basic things to very advanced. Now, within AI, there are multifaceted. For example, one is, how do you teach a machine to react to certain situation? Even that will be AI. So when we look at AI, AI has huge use cases. Now, right from autonomous vehicles to medical to financial. So to me, AI will be like the next internet. The wave of AI, like how internet took some time to come, and today it is all pervasive and is used commonly. Similarly, I think over the next 10, 15 years, AI will become as popular as the internet is. And that time, there'll be nothing which is without AI.
Andrew, who is the founder of Coursera, a few years back told me, and he went one step ahead of you. He said AI is like electricity. It will be there in everything that you do. So I think that might be a little bit more ominous and maybe true to what is going to happen.
Sorry, I'm just interrupting you. But
Yeah.
Bill Gates, nearly 15, 20 years ago, made a comment where back then he got a lot of flack for. He made this quote to say, if you want to teach your children, just teach them math and coding. While history, geography, communication are all important, but if you just teach your child coding and math, they'll be settled in life. And that was 15, 20 years ago. And everybody jumped on him saying, how can you be so single focus, single dimension? Teaching should be much bigger. People need to learn lots of things. And today, when you look back and say, there are more than enough jobs sitting in coding and in technology than any other field.
When we talk about AI and in the generic term, I remember when, 25 years ago, when internet was actually, becoming a little bit popular, people started taking notice. You had internet courses which would tell you how to use the internet, how to maybe switch on a dial-up modem, those kind of things. And I think AI is also presenting that kind of an opportunity because everybody wants to understand how to use AI to their advantage. So are you also looking at those kind of courses which is maybe not very specific or specialized, but lets people to start with just figure out how to maybe prompt well?
I think that's very, so what we do is we talk about AI in every of our program. So for
Hmm.
example, when we teach finance, then how can you use AI in the world of finance? In our tech programs, how do you use AI to write better code or more efficient code? In our data science program, while anyway we teach AI ML there, that comes in gaming, how do you use AI there? Today, you've got a very basic, you've got, Chat GPT. You can write in basic English. Can you answer this or can you do this for me? Even Chat GPT will do that. Today, I think to use AI more effectively, you need to make it very specific. If you want to talk about AI, AI in what? So in all our programs, we integrate AI. And as an edtech player, I think all of us, we can use the AI a lot more. Today, you can use AI for grading, for adaptive assessment, for understanding different learner styles, for prompting the learner that this is where you are struggling. Maybe you want to do this additional reading. AI you can use for everything. You can use for even hiring. You can use the AI tool. So today, it's not just something you teach people, but you also use in our daily life.
of late there has been, and this is a pandemic phenomenon where I'm sure EdTech saw a huge spike, right, with so many people trying to use their time at home to learn new things, and even people not being able to access institutes and all. Now, obviously we are in the post-pandemic era and we have come down that spike, but um, you know is it too early to maybe write off EdTech as a segment, or do you think EdTech is always going to be there as a parallel avenue for everyone?
So to me, 2 points. First, I think EdTech itself comprises of many different segments.
Yeah.
So EdTech is a very generic term. I think EdTech is like education. It could
Hmm.
be catered to anything. It could be for a 10-year-old child, could be for a 30-year-old, 40-year-old working professional. So EdTech per se has many different segments within it. So you have a segment which caters to school children. You have a segment which caters to only exams. You have a segment which caters to skilling professionals, and so whatnot. So the sector where Hero Wired is, which is skilling for working professionals, there we've had no downturn per se, even with COVID coming down. The other thing when I look at EdTech is, I think the boundary between education and EdTech will blur. Today, ISB does more business on online or on executive education than they do in the traditional program. So their revenue is more from that part. Now, would you call that EdTech or would you call that executive education? Similarly, EdTech companies are going and opening colleges or physical centers. So I think this boundaries between education and EdTech will get blurred. Your IIMs, IITs, they all do exec ed. They all partner with EdTech companies also to offer programs. At the same time, they have their own brick and mortar businesses. So this segment will get blurred and people will find convenience. Where do I get the most value for money and where do I get better outcomes? Now, whether that is a traditional player, whether that is a physical setup, whether that's an online setup, it's just adding to the choice.
And is it right to say that upskilling would, primarily be in your domain and not in a traditional, education kind of a domain? Because upskilling would again be something that people would like to do parallelly, would like to do at their own time, with a flexible schedule, and you guys cater to that much better.
Absolutely. And I think people have no choice but to upskill.
Yeah.
I give this example. Would you like to go to a doctor who's not upskilled for 50 years or
Yeah.
30 years? Pilots have to get certified every 6 months.
Yes.
Similarly, more and more fields will require you to get certified periodically so that you are up to speed. And what we offer or what other edtechs in our category offer is the convenience. Sitting at home, you can learn. Like in our case, we have INSEAD faculty who will teach you. You could be any part of India and you'll have access to that quality of faculty sitting at home. Now, imagine what that does over the long term. Suddenly, when you have MIT or INSEAD faculty teaching a much larger audience across the world, overall the quality of education, quality of skilling will improve.
One last thing I've always wondered is that, so as a company, when you are setting up a course, how do you work on the course, the components of the course? Do you, again, does a lot of research go into it? Do you have partners who sort of help you with that thing, because for you to do so many different verticals, or different types of courses catering to different types of users, how do you manage that?
So, what we do is when we offer a course, we start looking at what are the skills required by industry in that program.
Hmm.
For example, if you do a program in data science, it's a very broad term. But when industry hires, what are the skills they require and at what level?
Yeah.
So you could be a data scientist getting paid 5 lakh, you could be a data scientist getting paid 50 lakh or 1 crore. So, but what is the difference between those three? It is skill level at each of the different price points. So we go back and we map for our audience what are the skills we can get them, which cater to a very large heterogeneous crowd. Because
Okay.
we get a lot of audience who've never studied data science or never studied tech or never studied management. Now, how do you teach them and how do you get them jobs which cater to somebody with no experience in that field? And the way the program is designed is you take different industry level skills required. For example, if you need to know Python, fine, what level of Python do you need to know? So we define that, we go back, we put it in the program, and then we keep checking. That's where assurance of learning comes in. We make sure you do enough projects, enough assessments, so that you are actually able to apply that.
So all that assessment and all is sort of interwoven into the package, right? Like, and how do you do it? Like, how do you move from one level to the other? Like, so I'm sure there is a lot of research that goes into that too.
Correct, because teaching online is a very different level of, because we are used to getting taught physically. Traditionally, you always went to a classroom where there was a faculty or a teacher or an instructor, and you were there physically. So the person used to walk around, could look at people's faces, could see what they are doing. And a good teacher can tell by the student's body language whether they are understanding, not understanding. But not teaching online is a different skill and an art. It has its own challenges, yet it has its own positives also. Here, a lot of people we look at who are normally shy physically don't mind asking questions by typing a question out. Here, because you have AI in the end, it can very easily tell you, you know what, this person cheated from this person. It'll tell you in 1 second. Moment assessment is done. This is what happened. It can also tell you, for example, that Nandagopal understood this topic very well, but when it came to a particular topic, he struggled here. So maybe he should practice here while others are okay. So online teaching is a very different ball game altogether.
And it's also the beauty of the access it gives, right? Like, a kind of course maybe somebody in rural India could never dream of is now accessible where they are.
Absolutely. 60% of our learners are tier 2, tier 3 cities. And that's what the beauty of internet is and beauty of online is. Imagine if I'm in a tier 3 city, for me, if I had to go to INSEAD or MIT, just could be a working professional, could the financial means, whatnot. Now all of that is taken care of. So I think over time, this will bring the best skills at the grassroots level. I think we are really at the next cusp of industrial revolution.
That's so it's in a way democratization of knowledge, right? And that triggering this revolution that you spoke about.
Think of it like that. How many people got into an IIT? How many get into an MIT? How many get into these? What happens to the rest? So if I didn't get into an IIT or I didn't get into an MIT, but I want to learn that level of skills, what was the choice I had?
So, Mr. Munjal, thanks for joining the show. It was a pleasure talking to you, and again, wonderful insight, which I'm sure our listeners would really appreciate.
Perfect. Thank you so much for having me.
So, you were listening to Mr. Akshay Munjal of Hero Vired. We'll be back again next week with another guest, lot more insight. Till then, we are available everywhere you listen to your podcast.